Welcome, everyone. I'm very happy to share this space with you. My name is Rosalinda Torres, and this is Presence Intelligence Innovation as a Way of Being. Let me begin with a question. What if innovation weren't just a process, but a state of being that anyone could activate on demand? Because in truth, everyone here is leading something a team, a vision, a transition, a personal evolution. We are living in a world of accelerating complexity where leaders are expected to make high stakes decisions, drive innovation, and inspire others under uncertainty, often while navigating burnout, identity shifts, and cognitive overload. Many strategies focus on external methods better tools, better systems, better plans. But presence intelligence begins somewhere else. It is a multi informed framework grounded in neuroscience, systems thinking, and adaptive leadership that focuses on the internal states we operate from. Because innovation doesn't just depend on what we know, it depends on the state of being we are in when we face the unknown. My intention today is that by the end of these few minutes, these ideas feel clear, meaningful, and usable. You will walk away with a three-step practice that opens a space for new possibilities, not just at work, but in life. Let me share how it began for me. The first time I experienced innovation up close was right after my MBA. My first project was to reimagine a household appliance used around the world, so I thought I already understood it. But on the very first day, my mentor told me, act as if you know nothing. Start with a blank page. At the time, I saw it as the first step of product innovation, but later, working with leaders navigating uncertainty, I realized something deeper. That space of not knowing is often the birthplace of new insight and new possibilities. And yet, most people resist going there. Why? Because the brain is wired for certainty. According to predictive processing research, our nervous system is constantly trying to reduce uncertainty. When something feels unfamiliar, the brain often prefers the familiar over the accurate, control over growth, fitting reality into old models rather than exploring what else might be possible. Not knowing can feel like being lost in the dark, and we may unconsciously interpret that darkness as danger, closing ourselves off to what is possible. So we respond automatically, even when what used to work no longer works for us. We like to think we choose between being on autopilot or being rational. But as Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman showed, what we often call rational thinking is just a more sophisticated automatic pattern. We react first, then create a logical explanation afterward so it fits what we already believe. Automation is an incredible, useful capacity. It keeps us from having to relearn how to walk, talk, or drive every morning. But if we don't know how to exit it, if we don't have the skill to shift, our internal patterns stop adapting. Life starts to feel like a loop we can exit, and what becomes possible is no longer limited by nature but by design. I often hear things like, I used to always know what to do and now I feel lost, or I've always seen myself as independent, and this situation makes me feel like I'm losing myself. Different stories, same underlying experience. This isn't familiar. I don't yet know who I am here, and what used to work no longer works. It's like getting stuck in one single internal state. Think of water. Ice serves a purpose, steam has power. Yet neither would exist if water couldn't shift the states. When we can't adapt, we become stuck in one internal state, a single identity, a familiar belief loop, an emotional posture we confuse with who we are. Like someone who has learned to anchor their self worth to productivity. Pressure builds, they push harder, burnout follows, And they explain it by saying, I just care a lot. That's who I am. But that's not presence, that's programming. So, how do we open new possibilities? Not by thinking harder, especially when much of what we call thinking is just autopilot in disguise, but by accessing a deeper, more adaptive intelligence, one that lives in the body as much as in the mind. Mind and body are inseparable in how we perceive, interpret, and transform. The whole body is a source of information because it is where life is experienced. So instead of imagining a switch that flips from reactive to rational, imagine a regulation board with the sliders between intuition and analysis, emotion and logic, body and mind. Presence intelligence is the ability to adjust those internal dials consciously, shifting states with clarity and responding to what the moment truly requires rather than staying on autopilot. This is not performance, it is an embodied way of being. Here is a simple 3 step practice to begin activating it. I call it C: sense, elevate, adapt. All the steps are grounded in radical curiosity, the kind you bring when watching a movie or reading a book open to what is unfolding. First, sense. Return attention to the body, your breath, your feet, your fingertips. This interrupts autopilot, opens awareness beyond what you already know, and expands the space of possibilities. Second, elevate. Zoom out and adopt a satellite view that keeps updating with change. You begin seeing threads rather than isolated events. You allow emotions and thoughts to evolve. And when you listen to others, you don't just witness who they are in one specific moment, but who they are becoming. Third, adapt. Design small, safe experiments that energize you and generate new data. Like learning a language, understanding comes first, but transformation happens through practice and continuous adjustment. These micro shifts rewire the brain, open new options, and expand your sense of what is possible, reinforcing agency and building confidence in your ability to respond. Presence is not simply a mindset. It is a biological state. We can't demand presence from an exhausted nervous system. It's like trying to draw water from a dry riverbed. Rest, movement, nourishment, natural light, and human connection are not extras. They are the conditions that make presence possible. And because they are biological, they cannot be assumed. They must be actively renewed. As we begin practicing presence intelligence, even in tiny ways, something starts to shift. Our thoughts, emotions, and actions align more naturally with what is real rather than what is familiar. Polyvagal theory shows that regulated nervous systems can help co regulate others. Presence spreads. And from that space, innovation doesn't have to be forced, it unfolds. We move from surviving uncertainty to generating possibility within it. This is innovation as a way of being. My hope is that presence intelligence helps you bring out the best in yourself, in others, and in the systems you contribute to, not as a measure of performance, but as a reflection of vitality, a sign that we are fully alive, fully human, and open to what is emerging. It is not a state to reach, it is a stance we can return to again and again. And I would love to continue deepening this together, so I invite you to stay connected. Thank you.